On this episode of the Big Red Kitchen Show,
we've got former Husker pitcher and San Francisco Giant Steve Edlefsen.
We're going to be talking about this handy-dandy kitchen gadget as we demonstrate how to make chicken tacos.
And we're also going to do a great beer pairing that will make your chicken tacos even more delicious.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The Big Red Kitchen Show is brought to you by Salt Restaurant, Wren's Display, the Pampered Chef products provided by Teresa Brown, Sea of Red Wine, DeFord Family Dental, Dr. Kathy DeFord, Rotella's Bakery, Just Good Meats, Quality Mark Home Repair and Remodeling, Waddell and Reed Financial Advisors, East Bark Media, D. Tendenza Food Styling and Photography.
Hello, I'm Sherry Potter, and I am a professional food stylist and food photographer, and I love testing out new recipes in my studio kitchen. And today I had a wonderful recipe to work on. Very, very spicy chicken tacos. But before we talk about those, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Angela.
Hello, Sherry, and welcome to the Big Red Kitchen Show. I'm Angela Waltman, and I am the creator of the Big Red Recipes Cookbook. As you can see here, we have the first book, which was our football edition that came out in August of this last year, and we are now working on our baseball edition. So we're really happy to have our very first baseball player on the show today. Make sure you go to bigredrecipes.com to find out more about the football edition, and coming soon, we will have up all of our players and the recipes and nonprofits they support for our baseball edition.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
I bet it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be really fun.
Very fun.
And today we have a former pitcher for the Huskers, Steve Edlefsen, who not only pitched for us, but he also went on to play for the San Francisco Giants. Had a very long career there before coming back to Omaha to work for Cressa, which is commercial real estate. So very excited to welcome Steve onto the show today.
Excellent. Well, let's get him out here.
Sounds wonderful.
Put him to work.
Thanks so much for coming, Steve.
You got it.
Hi, Steve. So good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Now, tell us a little bit more, because we've had lots of football players on the show, 13 to be exact,
yes, we have.
unless you consider the doubles, and then we've had 15 football players on the show. You're our first baseball player. Tell us a little bit how it was to play baseball at a university that's so football focused.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it is football focused, but the University of Nebraska and the fans, I think, are probably the most passionate people in general for the university. And that football passion that you see every Saturday, we get the after effects in the spring. So I really don't think that there's any better place in the country. I mean, we rival any SEC environment, and you know, when I was there, it was the Big 12, now the Big 10. So I really think that there's not a better place to play baseball when it comes to, especially when the weather gets a little bit better at the end of the year. But when it comes to college baseball, I don't know that there's a better place to enjoy the entire, collegiate atmosphere.
Wonderful. So do you hang out with the football players like at the training table? We always like to talk about the training table.
This is a show about
We are a
food.
cooking
Yes,
show. We love our food. So do you mingle together at the training table? Do they have different things for you? How does that work?
Sure. No, I mean, athletes, for the most part get along. I would say probably from maybe a little bit inside info. I mean, I think that baseball players, when I was there at least, we gravitate towards football players and the wrestlers. It just seems to be a connection. I think part of the reason is because we are always up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. for early morning conditioning and weights, and we run into each other, and there's just a connection there on that side of the thing. But to be honest with you, I still talk today with guys that play on the football team that when we were there, and there's guys that even play today. I enjoy going out there and enjoying a Saturday in Lincoln. There's not a better place in the fall to be. So, I think that, to be honest with you, football players, wrestlers, baseball players, we all kind of have the same mindset, and that's, we're all athletes and we're here and we enjoy Nebraska.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit more about coming to Nebraska. Were you recruited? Were there other options for you? What made you choose to be a Husker?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I had a lot of options on the table, more so out of junior college. I was originally drafted by the Red Sox, and at the time you could be a draft and follow. And so when you do that, you go to a junior college and you have a lot of leverage on the professional side of things. So I grew up, from my freshman year on, going to Nebraska baseball camp. So I grew up in Minneapolis. I would drive down with my family, and so I got to know the coaching staff and developed a relationship. And at the end of the day, when it came down after, deciding between going pro or a college, I looked at University of Alabama, Auburn, Louisiana Lafayette, St. John's. There was a lot of different schools that recruited me, but Nebraska was always kind of home because of the relationships that I developed as a young freshman in high school.
Yep. Wow. And then after college, draft time? Is that how it worked, or were you already in the system? Tell me a little bit about how that works.
It was an exciting time.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember now that they have it on MLB Network, and it's a more broadcasted, and they try to create something kind of like how they do the NFL draft. But when I was drafted, it was sit by your computer and wait for your name to be called.
That was it?
Oh my goodness.
You get phone calls.
Kind of anticlimactic after a good
Kind of, a little bit.
Yes,
I always think of like the Oscars where they're sitting there waiting for the name to be called, chewing on the fingernails. That's not it at all? Can I imagine that in my
I didn't know
head?
any better at the time, so I guess
True.
it was just kind of how we dealt with it. No, it was exciting to hear your name called, even though it is, like you said, pretty anticlimactic from what you see on TV with the NFL draft.
So what I'm curious about is, when you were growing up as a little boy, a lot of young boys have to decide between baseball and football. Do you remember making that decision, or were you just always in love with the baseball?
No, I mean, to be honest, now my favorite sport is football.
Really?
I mean, I'm the biggest diehard Husker football fan you'll ever meet.
Love it. We love to hear that, right?
But I grew up in Minneapolis.
Oh,
yeah.
It wasn't football, it was hockey or baseball.
Yeah, different state.
So, and my dad played with the Atlanta Braves, came up in the organization, so I grew up around
It's in
the
your
game.
blood.
and-
Okay, yeah. So you were
But
getting,
hockey was my other sport, not football.
I love
but you
hockey.
probably got a baseball when you were like 1,
Oh,
or a tiny little mitt,
yeah, I still
or a
remember.
hockey stick.
Well, I did have a hockey stick, mini sticks is what we call them, but my mom would, she tells me stories about how she would set up the pillows in the living room, and I would run, she would pitch to me and I'd hit, and she'd run around. So I don't think I had really a choice when it comes down to that.
Kind of been made for you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I love those stories about moms that actually work with their boys to play ball.
So
I
it's
think
not
that
just
is
dads.
just so
She
cute.
should get more credit than my dad, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of moms who really do. They're the ones out in the backyard throwing the ball because dad's busy. And so what's mom doing? She's in the house, in the kitchen, doing something, folding laundry, and she sees Junior out there, and it's like, oh, Mom, can you just throw the ball?
Yeah, that was my mom right
Was
there.
it? Yeah.
So played many years in beautiful California. What brought you back to Omaha? And you just came back recently, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've been back a little over a year.
Okay.
We just got done moving into a new house out in West Omaha. It's home for us. My wife is from here. She's from Grand Island and Crete, and we met at Nebraska. And we basically decided at the end of the day we were in Miami, Florida, and that wasn't really kind of exactly where we wanted to raise our family.
Right.
So I've got a young son, and we had a really good opportunity to come and open up an office with Cressa, and we jumped at the opportunity to come home.
Awesome. So one quick question here. We've got some fan questions that we've been incorporating throughout these shows, so they're always fun. Throw you a little curveball here. Was your nickname the Eagle when you were playing?
How did you find that out?
We don't reveal our secrets. A fan knew that and asked us to ask you about it and why you got that nickname.
To be honest with you, I don't even know how I got the nickname, but I think it's from somebody, and I've been getting a lot of these text messages lately because Eddie the Eagle movie is coming out. So that brings up, where did you find that? I really do want to know.
It was a fan.
But yes, I don't know who gave it to me. I think it actually started in junior college at Barton County Community College in Kansas and just kind of stuck, I guess.
Yep, that's awesome.
was funny.
Well, one more question from Kelly, because we love Kelly and she always tweets in questions. Seeds or gum when you're playing? Which one is it?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what time of the year it is.
Oh my
because especially in pro ball, when you're playing 162 games, it'll go 2 weeks of gum, and then you don't want to see gum for the next 2 weeks, and it's
Yeah.
seeds,
Oh,
and then you just keep rotating.
Yep.
Really?
That's
I mean,
awesome.
that's such an interesting fact. I would have had no idea. I always thought it was one or the other.
Now, Big Red Recipes always likes to concentrate on our nonprofits that we get involved. So I would love to talk to you a little bit about the nonprofit you support and how you came to support that.
Yeah, I mean, so Crescent Cares is part of our company's overall initiative from a nonprofit standpoint. My specific charity that we support is the Nebraska Epilepsy Foundation of Omaha. My wife has epilepsy. It's extremely controlled. We're one of the lucky ones. So at the end of the day, it is something that's very close to us as a family, and we want to make sure that all of the financial backing to supporting kind of the epilepsy is a very difficult disease to deal with. We're, like I said, we're the lucky ones because we have medications that control the when you get down to it, you have people that deal with this on a daily basis. We deal with it on a 3-4 years. So we want to make sure that, and I want to get that going as well. So it's one of those curable. I think it's a curable disease. We just have to have enough dollars and research behind it.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to support them. We even have Mary here from the support group in our studios watching us film today. So it was awesome to have them here.
Oh, good. I'm glad they're here.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, we appreciate
Well,
what you guys do. This is great. This is an awesome initiative, and I know that the football one has been successul. So hopefully the baseball guys can carry our weight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are going to talk about your recipe, the chicken taco, and it's a delicious recipe, and I always like to know, where did it come from? Did you develop it yourself? Is it a family recipe? Is it a secret? Or did your wife develop it? I mean, sometimes, we just cook in the kitchen with our spouses, and that's what happens. So tell us a bit about where it came from.
Well, it's no secret. This is a fairly new recipe that I make my wife cook like once a week because I love it so much. We actually, a friend of mine, his wife is Colombian, and she basically taught her how to deep fry the custom taco shells, and this all came from her. So we took it back that was one of the things we took from South Florida back to Nebraska.
Oh, I love that. So it's got some flavors that come from someone who actually is authentic and lives in the country. So every time we get together to do our show, we always like to introduce a new kitchen gadget, and this is from our Pampered Chef sponsor, Teresa Brown. And so it looks really frightening, doesn't it? It's
does.
Just kind of but this is a nice gadget to help you cut up this chicken. So as you know, when you make the chicken, you have to marinate it, and then you bake it for 30 minutes, and then afterwards you have to shred it. And I know there are different methods of shredding. Now, how do you usually shred?
I just kind of watch. My wife is the cook of the house.
Oh, well,
but
you're on the right show, because this show is all about getting men to help out in the kitchen. So your wife is going to be thrilled, because you are going to love this recipe, because you're going to
have to work with her on that. She likes to kick me out of the kitchen.
Well, if you're really helpful, she'll let you stay. So that's what this show is about. So
just tell her she's pretty.
Here's our kitchen gadget, and I like to train people on how to use it.
Okay.
It's like a giant scissors. And basically, you just pop it in there, and with your strong hands, you just basically push it shut, and it cuts it up. So I'm going to have you go ahead, and
I can do that.
you can do that.
I think so.
Yeah, it really makes short work out of it, and you can just get in there and get it all nice and shred it up nice and easy.
I always
so
try and shred it when it's still too hot, and I burn my fingers.
I know, and when you use a fork, sometimes you've got your breast meat flying all over the kitchen.
That's what I was going to
Got
say. I
your
need
breasts
one of
flying
these.
all over
Yes.
the
Get one of
kitchen.
these.
Well, you're lucky
We
because
use 2 forks. So
Teresa Brown is going to give that to you after the show, so that you can have one for your own kitchen, and so you and your wife can have a little fun.
Brownie
shredding
points,
chicken.
Steve.
Yes.
Brownie points.
Now, one of the things that I noticed about this recipe is that you marinate your chicken 4 to 5 hours, and then you bake it for 30 minutes. So, that's a nice weekend recipe, but it's such a great recipe. Perhaps you'd like to make it during the week and save a little time. So since I say that I have a studio kitchen and I like to test recipes, I always like to, bring some of those tests on the show and have our guests see if it's a pass or a fail when I've tested something. So this afternoon, I did just that. I tested this recipe out, and what we did is we did your recipe just as you instructed, baked it, marinated it for 4 hours, and then baked it in the oven for 30 minutes. But I had another method that I thought might work just as well. I have this other nice little dish here. This is another Pampered Chef, and it's a steamer. But what you can do is you can take your frozen chicken just right out of the package. I use tenderloins. Put them right in there, and then dump your marinade on the top. Shut it, seal it, put it in your microwave for 10 minutes, and voila, it's done.
Do I get one of those too?
No, you don't get one of these. This one's mine.
No, I like it. I love it. That's awesome.
So, but we want to make sure that it tastes as good as what, your friend who helped you come up with this recipe
You're going to make me blindfold him again, Jerry?
So I'm not making you blindfold, but I'm going to have Steve turn around while we put the dishes on the set.
Ah.
Do
So
that.
you turn around. You don't have to.
Is this when we get to make fun of him?
No, Angela,
still
don't
hear
make
it.
fun of our guests. We're going to let our viewers at home see what we have in the dishes. And we have this one. And so we're going to give Steve a fork or a spoon, maybe a spoon. Okay, Steve, you can turn around. Okay, so we have 2 dishes here, and we have 2 spoons. And we're going to have you decide whether it's a microwaved version or a baked version, and which you like better, which has a better flavor. What do you think? And I love the chopped jalapenos in this. It was so simple to make the chicken because all you did is you did this little shredding, and then you added just the chopped jalapenos to it, and there, voila, it was all ready to go. You didn't have to add any extra seasoning to it.
That one was good, really good.
Right, and we have this one.
I think a fork would have been the better option.
I think so. It looked like it was pretty chopped up to me.
I got to get better at a spoon.
I could have used a fork, yes. Or are they equal?
They're both pretty good.
You won't be punished if you're wrong.
Yeah, it isn't
Maybe.
right or wrong.
I got a 50-50 shot anyway.
That's
so
right.
I'm going to say this is the microwave.
You are correct. Yes, that is the microwave.
There we go.
Was it?
It was really close,
Was it
though.
comparable to the other one?
Yes, very close.
So if you were in a hurry and you didn't have 3 hours to marinate your chicken and 30 minutes to bake it, it would be an acceptable substitute.
Yes. 100%.
Very good. Perfect. Well, that's what I wanted to hear from you, because I thought the recipe was so good. I wanted to make it again, but I was kind of worried that, oh, what if I forget to take my chicken out, which I do all the time. I'm always forgetting to take the chicken out. So this was a good way for me to say, oh, I don't have to do it. I can make that yummy marinade. And the marinade was simple. It was just orange juice and 2 tablespoons of lime juice, or just fresh. Some cilantro, garlic, salt,
Which
and
I
pepper.
like to go heavy on the cilantro.
Yeah, you just chopped it up. It was really, really delicious. So easy.
And that's perfect, because one of the things we're always trying to encourage is families to cook together, and sometimes that pre-planning of the hours of marinating, will stop you from cooking.
Right.
Because you forget to do it, or you want to eat and you don't want to wait 3
Yeah.
hours. So I love that this is something that you can do the recipe, maybe not quite authentically, but at least as a family you can eat together as opposed to going
Right.
out or
A
throwing
lot-
a pizza
a
in the
lot
oven.
quicker.
Definitely.
Not
Yeah.
that that's bad.
And that is something that you could do really easily to help your wife out in the kitchen, and she wouldn't even be bothered by that. Just take 4 chicken breasts out of the freezer.
Well, if I have cool tools like that to work with, I'll
Yes,
do more of it.
I know.
You
I
better
know.
keep an eye on that thing. I think it's going to try and make off with it.
I'll give you the book from Teresa, and then you can take that home as well. Another little time saver for us who like cilantro. I don't know if any of you have
I
used
love that.
this.
I use the basil.
Do you use the basil? There are 4 or 5 different ones. There's a basil, cilantro, parsley, and I want to say
There's a
it's
red pepper.
A red pepper paste. Anyway, this is an excellent substitute for cilantro, especially in a marinade where you don't care about, the presentation or the leaves or anything like that. Angela, I think you are going to tell us a little bit about a beverage, aren't you?
I am. I don't actually get to make anything today, which is sad, because I'm sure you all love when I make a mess.
I do. I love it when you make things.
But we've got a Mexican dish today, so I thought beer would be a good pairing with this. So I talked to John at Salt Restaurant, who is one of our sponsors and always gives us a great drink pairing, and asked him to suggest a nice beer that would go well with this. He didn't go with a Mexican beer, which is fine, but he went with one of the favorites at Salt, which is Stella, which I know that I love. You've said that you
Yes.
love it. It is a Belgian beer, so we don't have a Mexican beer to go with our Mexican food, but it is a very light lager, And so it pairs well with things that are spicy or that have their own really good flavor that you don't want to overwhelm with something that's too sugary or too dark, something that's going to change the taste of it. That's why I like having Stella with this, and I think it was a good call.
Yes.
And we had it back here. We just took it out of the fridge and let it actually warm up a little because, little known fact, if you drink your beer too cold, it actually masks the taste of it. So when you see those bars that say coldest beer in town, watch out. They probably have bad beer.
Really? Oh, Angela, thank you for that education moment right
Absolutely,
there.
absolutely.
Yes,
And the other thing is with Stella, a lot of people like to drink it out of the Stella chalice, I believe is the
Yeah.
technical term for it. We did not have any of those, and I'm a drink beer out of a bottle sort of girl. So the chalice is actually a way to keep the CO2 in and make the aroma better, is really what the shape of it is for. But for a light beer like this, it's not incredibly important, so I thought it would be fine if we just drank it out of the bottle. And yes,
You know
this
your
is the
Stella.
beer opener
You know your
that I keep
Stella.
on my keychain. 'Cause You just never know, right?
You never
You
know.
just
You
never
should
know.
always have a beer opener on you.
Absolutely. We usually don't have a wine opener here.
Best
'cause
part of the show.
I always lose the
Yes,
wine
yes.
opener when I go to the airport, because it's always in my purse. I always take it. I've
Oh,
lost
yes.
so many of them, but this guy always gets through.
Yes, very
So.
good, very good. So this is, I'm not a craft beer drinker, so I will be a good test for this. So
It's very light.
let's
You'll
see.
like it.
I will, okay.
So,
Guaranteed?
give it a try.
All right. Cheers and cheers and cheers.
Love Stella.
It's good. And it's
It
not
does
too
have a
hot.
bit of a Corona
Yeah.
taste to it.
Right.
No, I can see why it would pair well with this.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice. It's easy to find. It's not one of those craft beers that you need to look all over town for. Obviously, Salt has it, so you can go there to get it. But it's available in any grocery store, even gas stations. So very easy to find, very drinkable. So I think it was a good pairing.
Very good. Well, we have some tacos out here on the set. We need to taste.
Now
taste
these
it.
shells.
Yes, those are the.
Does your wife make these?
Yes, she does. That's my favorite part of this whole thing is
Does
the
she let you
shell.
fry them?
Well, I have
You
before.
have, you
and
have.
I'm not very good at it.
Yeah,
so
it's kind of a
she did
dangerous
find,
job.
it is a very dangerous
It's a
job.
dangerous
I've learned the
job,
hard
yes.
way actually.
Yes.
On my arms, but
Right.
she did find these taco fittings that allowed it to be a lot easier.
Right, yeah.
And once we got those, now my duty is back on.
I know, I have this
good.
little stand here, which is nice because when they're still warm, you can set them in the little stand.
So
and
they
then they're-
don't spill.
Right, yeah, so these might be a little crunchier. So go ahead and grab one and
All
see what you
right.
think. We have some little things for you to use on
Little
them.
things.
Now, I loved it that this recipe did call for, I'll pass this over, and how about I give you a,
Are we supposed to put
Can we
extra
use this?
chicken on it?
I was going to have us make them, but you just pulled them right
Oh,
out.
I thought we're
Well,
actually assembling them.
I wanted just to show how they're assembled.
right.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Misunderstood.
No, yeah,
Too
because
much Stella.
too much already. One drink. I wanted Steve here to show how we assemble these.
Alrighty.
So, he is the star of the show. Let's give him a
Indeed.
role on the show
Absolutely.
of showing how to assemble this. So you fill it up with a little chicken, and then you can add a number of different things. We have some cheese, we have some lettuce.
Can we
tomatoes.
cross-contaminate?
You can cross-contaminate.
Don't stick it in your
yes.
mouth.
Yes, yeah, just kind of throw it on there.
Once again, fork might have worked.
Yep.
A fork that-
Maybe the tongs all around.
Yeah, the tongue's all around. I do have a fork over here.
One of the things I love about tacos is, I like every weird thing you can think of on my food, but I usually eat with people who don't. So being able to put whatever I want on mine and they can still enjoy the meal by making it basic.
Right,
I
yeah.
love things like that. My daughter doesn't like the tomatoes and the, all of
Oh,
that.
so
She just
then
wants
you
the
just
meat and
get
the cheese. So
Right.
it's always
Yeah,
nice
just
to
reach
create
across,
meals
yeah.
that each member of the family can kind of customize
And a little
and
bit
make
of
it their
lime.
own.
And a little bit
Well,
of lime.
I'm more up the alley of where your daughter is on the picky side, so.
Oh, no, are we
It's a
making
great
you eat
recipe.
something you don't like here?
No, no, I'm not.
I see he avoided
I
the
picked it,
tomato.
but no
You did-
tomatoes.
Avoided the tomatoes. Why, thank
There we
you.
go.
Why did I take two?
Because you were hungry.
Because I'm a pig.
No, no, just because you're hungry.
Is that good?
Now, this recipe has yogurt on it instead of sour cream. I
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
keeping that extra fat out of
I
there.
can't tell the difference, to be
Oh,
honest
I
with
can't
you.
either. I hardly ever buy sour cream any
Yeah.
longer. I always have yogurt around the house, and it's always a lot of fun. You can put, you can put a little lime in it. You can put a little,
Trouble seasoning.
different seasonings in it, and you can really make a nice dip with it. Nobody ever knows.
Yeah, a lot healthier,
A
obviously.
lot healthier. Oh, very good. I thought you were going
Very
to
high.
dump that right in
It's
the beer.
possible.
Yes,
Then you would have had to switch him.
yes, yeah. That's the bad thing about the tomatoes
There we go.
all the way across.
I'm calling it good.
Very good.
Should we give it a try?
Go ahead.
Alright.
You guys give it a try. I'm going to keep talking because while you're eating, then I can continue to talk. But we'll have this recipe on our show page, so that if our viewers at home are curious about how to make it, we'll put that on the show. When they watch the show, they'll be able to see how
Thank you.
to. Oh, I guess I forgot those. Yes.
They're good though, huh?
Very good.
Aren't they delicious?
I'm not gonna keep talking
We
about
had one earlier this afternoon when we were trying to decide what we liked best for the chicken meat. But it is a great recipe and really quite easy for almost anyone. But for guys, I think this is a perfect recipe to start working with in the kitchen because it is easy and pretty much foul-proof. You just add some, who could mess up orange juice and lime,
Right.
mixing it all together.
I know some
So
people who
Those
do
shoes
that.
make, or whatever, what do you call that?
this is a chopping tool.
It doesn't have a name?
That makes it a lot easier.
Chopping
I didn't mean to put you on the
tool.
spot,
You
but-
did put me on the spot. I don't know what it's called.
But it makes it a lot easier.
I assure you, it'll be on the show credits at some point in
Perfect.
time.
Chopping tool, that works. Now, one more fan question, because I love these. They're just fun. Favorite rain delay? What's your favorite memory of a rain delay? Because I'm sure we've all seen baseball games where they're just standing out there forever. Standing out there, they're waiting. What was the longest one?
The longest one, I remember finishing a game I was in AAA at the time in Fresno, California. We ended up finishing the game around 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So and it was multiple rain delays. We had to get it in. It was towards the end of the season. Nobody wants to stay an extra day. Both teams were out of the playoffs. You're dealing with guys that are, hoping for a September call-up to the major leagues. So it's a really awkward situation. So you see some really weird things go on, not only in the clubhouse, but out on the field, just to stay entertained, to try to pass the time to get the game in.
Well, we'd love to hear a bit more, but we got to wrap up our show today. We want to thank all our viewers at home. I want to thank our wonderful team. And Steve, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So we'll see you again
you.
next time on the Big Red Kitchen Show. Thank you so much for joining us.
The Big Red Kitchen Show was brought to you by Salt Restaurant, Wren's Display, Pampered Chef Teresa Brown, Sea of Red Wine, DeFord Family Dental, Rotella's Bakery, Just Good Meats, Quality Mark Home Repair and Remodeling, Waddell and Reed Financial Advisors, East Bark Media, D Tendenza Food Styling and Photography,